What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Passionate DJ Podcast. I'm your host, David Michael. I'm here with Tony DeCero, and we're here with the one and only Cryztal Grid.
What's up, what's up?
Live in studio for the first time in a long time.
It's been a while.
Too long.
A lot has happened, so we've got a lot to talk about. But you guys came in from out of town and played a show, at least one show, last night.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you've got one tomorrow. Is that
tomorrow
correct?
Evening at the Thompson House in Cincinnati.
House.
That's right.
Yeah, so you're doing kind of a little mini tour while you're in town here. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it feels so good to be back too. It's we've been gone 9 months. I've been gone 9 months from Dayton, and it feels like a long time. It's definitely nostalgic to be back, if I can say that, after only being gone for 9 months. But it feels really, really good.
Sure. So we've been following your guys' story for a couple of years now, and most of the longtime audience is pretty familiar with you. But for those who are kind of new to the show or whatever, give them the Cryztal Grid 101. Who are you guys? What do you guys do? What kind of music do you make? And what are you up to?
Yeah, so I'm Cody. This is Gerrad, and together we form Cryztal Grid. I play the saxophone. Gerrad does all of our live mixing and then plays a half acoustic, half electronic drum kit. Of course, we play electronic music, mostly future-based dubstep, infusing trap, down-tempo. We try and play over it all, and of course, over the past couple of years, we have progressively gotten a little bit heavier.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys about that. I'm glad you brought that up. Anything to add to that, Gerrad?
That was a great elevator speech.
That was. You got that pitch down, man.
I practice it in the shower every morning.
That's awesome. So since the last time you guys were here, amongst other things, your guys' location has changed. So
yeah.
How did that start, and why, and how did you both end up where you did? Who wants to tell that story? I mean, I'm not sure where that even starts.
Yeah.
Okay. So I lived in Durango, Colorado for 5 years. I did my undergrad at Fort Lewis College. Initially grew up in Iowa, so I'm definitely a Midwesterner at heart.
Okay.
But so I was out in Colorado for 5 years, and then I moved to Dayton for grad school. So I did 2 years at the University of Dayton and met Gerrad at a house party in a backyard, a bonfire, and we hit it off after like 7 days of living in Dayton. And so Colorado has definitely felt like home for me. That's where my love for electronic music started. Okay. Red Rocks, Denver being the bass capital. There's a whole lot going on there. And then, of course, we started Cryztal Grid while we were based in Dayton. Obviously, a lot of things happened. Tony got involved within a month of us starting our project, ish, a month and a half.
Yeah.
And of course, our foundation, our growth has all been in Dayton, Ohio. And then after my girlfriend and I, who we both moved to Dayton, Ohio together, we were ready to go home back to the mountains.
Okay.
And of course, Gerrad and I shared a lot of conversations on how that was going to progress along with Cryztal Grid. And initially, my plan was just to fly back to Dayton a lot, because it's pretty easy for me to fly with the saxophone, and it really wouldn't be a big deal. It's a 2-hour flight from Denver to Cincinnati. Show up and play shows, but somebody wanted to start climbing mountains.
Yeah. So basically the story is that I was in a spot in my life where I wanted to be all in with Cryztal Grid. And originally the plan was Cody was going to come back to Ohio. We were going to do our thing. He was going to travel. I was going to travel to Denver, and we were going to make it work. And as soon as he left, I felt the pull, or that little energy of him being gone, and I was like, well, if it's going to hurt this project, it's going to hurt our dream. So, like I said, I was in a stage of my life where it's possible for me to pack up and go, and but I'm not in my early 20s. I was a little more established in Dayton, so it did take me some time to kind of uproot some things, but once I did, it just moved out there, and the rest is going to be history.
So, I mean, have you gotten to the point where you're starting to establish roots in Colorado as Cryztal Grid yet? Or I know that takes a while, so that's pretty fresh, and I'm sure. But
so we utilized that move in the past. You've been out there for 6 months?
I think so.
6 months ish.
Yeah.
We utilized it as a incubation period to, one, up our production game, get our production to the level that we need it to be, focus on marketing, get our Spotify streams, get our overall streams to a place where they need to be, which has been beneficial, and it has worked.
It seems like it's working.
Yeah,
it has worked. We're happy with the numbers that we're seeing, and we're utilizing these 2 Ohio shows, one, to test our brand new set. We have a completely new brand new set that we've been working on, and we've spent 3 months.
3 months.
3 months developing and perfecting. And last night was the first time we were able to test it out live, and
awesome.
It works.
Okay.
It works. And so we're being able to use these almost as shows to test it with a crowd that is familiar with Cryztal Grid.
Sure. A little less pressure, kind of like the
More
open mic for
crowd.
for the comedian, where you can kind of test your material out.
Yeah. Forgiving, and then also just to ensure that our evolution is continuing to click with original Cryztal Grid fans. So last night we were playing shows in front of people that saw us in our first 5 shows, where we used to play a lot more chill sets, a lot more future bass, and of course we are getting heavier and trying to add more instrumentation, and which is tricky, of course, when you're blending that with heavy bass music. But after last night's reception, I'm pretty stoked on the comments that happened after the show, and
good.
And once again, really relying on the original first day Cryztal Grid fans in trusting their opinion on how we have progressed.
That's cool. I like that you guys are committed to building and keeping that trust with your fans over the long term. Absolutely. I think that people will recognize that. That's how you keep those long term relationships going. That's great that you guys are aware and that you care about that. Speaking of the upping your production game and maybe making some modifications to your sound or the way that you're approaching your sets. Well, first off, let me ask. Are we okay to play your music on YouTube? And
100%.
Yep. Okay, great.
Definitely.
Is Spotify good enough place to source
Perfect.
that? Okay.
Yes, perfect.
So you released a track, is it today?
Today. Yeah.
And let's go ahead and pull that up. Is that Get Back, right?
It is.
So let's go ahead and give that a listen and see what Cryztal Grid is sounding like in 2020.
Buckle up, buckaroos.
Everybody take a drink.
You remember the fun we had when you poisoned me?
Something you ate, the doctor said.
Yes.
Very brooding, very creepy. I like it. Woo. I feel like we need Trip Turlington here for a proper bass face, man. Woo.
We can edit that part in.
I like it. Okay, so definitely a harder sound than we heard probably the last time you guys were on the show. I think you had just released maybe On Fire or Crystal Clear. One or the other had
Probably
just
Crystal
come
Clear.
out.
Probably Crystal Clear.
Darling.
And so this is definitely different than that. So what kind of has caused this sort of paradigm shift with Cryztal Grid? I remember talking to one of you, and I honestly can't remember if it was on this show or if it was just a conversation I had with one of you on the side, but I remember you guys saying something about wanting to go a little harder with your live sets. But if I can make an observation, I'm also hearing darker, I think. And so I wonder if that's intentional. Like, did you guys make a decision that we want to work some darker sounds into our repertoire, or if that's just kind of a byproduct of going harder, if that makes sense?
Yeah, when we first started this project, like we created a business plan. We had a very I don't want to say rigid, but we had, when we were first building the project, we wanted to have a very particular sound, and we wanted it to make sense from a marketing perspective. And we're like, we have live drums, we have saxophone. How do we create music that encompasses that brand, and how do we move forward? But as we continue to write and create music, it's that weird blend of marketing and branding with artistry and creativity, and we really don't want to put ourselves in a box. And we wrote that track, I think it was post Halloween, or maybe even Halloween week.
You were starting to write it during Halloween.
Yeah, but
it was definitely influencing.
It was funny.
You.
It felt Halloween when I listened to it earlier.
Yeah. And so it's of course I love playing the saxophone, but I also like making creating and writing dubstep, and Gerrad feels the same way. We like pretty music, we like heavy music, and just from a creative, artistic perspective.
Did you always want to make stuff like that, and you just didn't feel like it fit the Cryztal Grid brand at the time, or is it truly a new thing that you felt like you wanted to try?
I think a little bit of both. So
like, were you feeling pigeonholed before?
I think when we first started, we thought that we were pigeonholed into thinking, well, we have saxophone. We're going to put saxophone on every track.
Okay.
And so therefore that has like a certain stigma to it.
The tool's there. Why aren't we using the tool?
Yeah. So I think within our like fourth song or something, we kind of threw that out the window, and we're just going to create what we want to create.
Okay.
So then you start like tracks 1 through 4 or 5, I can't remember exactly what it was, but you hear saxophone, and then all of a sudden you don't hear it as much, and then now we're producing songs that don't have any sax melody in it at all. So what are you feeling on that?
Well, it comes back to why we're writing music in the first place, and that's for an emotional release, and it's fun. And our production has gotten to the point where, there's no saxophone. That's definitely not a future-based track, but it will hold its own against other dubstep tracks, and we're happy to put it out and bump it live. And the crowd last night, I mean, they were going wild to it, and it's cool to be able to once again create what we want. And we're not signed with any labels. They're independent releases, and we just want to, if we enjoy what we create, and we think if it's up to the standards that we have set for ourselves, we want to put it out and release it, because that's us.
So how much is the crowd response influencing the music that you're creating now, if that makes sense? Like, when you're in the studio, how much are you thinking about the crowd response at your last show?
That's
a lot.
An interesting question.
It goes back and forth. So on the drive from Denver to Dayton, I was working on just hip hop beats, for no particular reason aside from writing hip hop beats, just to have fun.
Sure.
And so we're cruising. Gerrad's driving. I have the headphones on. I have the laptop, and I'm just creating. And are we gonna release those chill hip hop vibes? Probably not. but it's just what I wanted to write in the moment. And so I think it's important for us to be able to stay true to I don't even want to say creative vision, because it's not even a vision. It's just whatever you're feeling in the moment. If you want to go out and create something, then just create it.
So you don't ever want to feel like you're creating for anyone else, I guess. But do you feel guided by your fan base?
Well, definitely. So last night,
studio,
five of our tracks that we played last night, we had never played live. Okay. And so we were so excited to see the crowd reaction. I think the best crowd reaction was Burn 'Em Up, which was a track we put out in December, which is a 174.
Have we not played that long?
No, man. No. It's 174 BPM, so it's drum step, which drum step hasn't even been popular since 2014, 2015 era. You know, and I love reggae. Reggae music is up there with electronic music for my love.
So old to me. It feels so old.
This is Burn 'Em Up, 2019 according to Spotify.
Yeah, December
2019.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the kind of track that Dayton's into. That totally makes sense. That gets him going. Getting me going.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the complexity. Like, no one measure sounds like the previous measure. There's always the rhythm's chopped up, or there's a new sample or a melody introduced or something. Like right here, this beat.
The Moombahton section.
That's so cool. So that one did well with the crowd, you say?
I think that was probably our best.
Oh, yeah.
Best in regards to the tracks that we have never played out live, which was really, really cool to see. You know, it's something that, once again, we created simply because we wanted to create it, and that's what we felt in the moment, and it works well live, which is gratifying.
So Tony made a comment first thing when he walked in, commenting on your guys' crowd work and mic work and how much that continues to improve. What did you notice about that? I mean, what is it? Just like their interaction with the crowd,
their comfort with the mic, the interaction. Yeah, you especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've come up a lot.
I have a good teacher.
Yeah.
So what's going on with, since you're creating all these new tracks that don't have saxophone going on? I mean, how are you keeping yourself busy, if I can ask?
Yeah, well, so it's all about blending, which kudos to Gerrad for set preparation,
like a set design thing, right?
Oh man, Gerrad killed it on the structure of this set. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Burn 'Em Up, so it has all of those horn fills, so I can play Burn 'Em Up live. Get Back, Pull Up, I do not have a sax part for either one of those.
You got sick dance moves though.
But I can salsa like no other. I'm just kidding. I don't know how to salsa. I have no idea. But from that perspective, keeping myself busy by enjoying the set, enjoying the track and vibing with the crowd and having fun there.
Nice.
But going back to overall saxophone design within the set, Gerrad did a phenomenal job on this current sets and in blending.
So making sure that there's not like a big long block where you don't have anything to do kind of thing.
Well, track curation as well.
Okay.
So like choosing tracks that I felt could have sax fills on them, even if they were heavy, or maybe they were more melodic dubstep, so that way Cody could have something that he could play over top of, breaks and little fills and whatnot. So if I recall, we go running just about every morning, and I would put on like a playlist like Discover Weekly or just whatever on Spotify, and go running, and you would hear a track that you're like, oh, that sounds good. And this is probably back in like October, November. That's when I started curating all the music for the new set. And you hear something that you like, and you save it to a playlist while you're running. You're sitting there, saving it to a playlist. And so kind of the process is you find the music, you throw it all in a folder. And then once you get a solid 30, 40 tracks inside that folder, you go running again, and you listen to the flow of that music together. And then you start to realize like, oh, well, this track, it doesn't actually fit the vibe of the rest of the 25 tracks in this playlist. So you start to eliminate things, and then you replace things, and then you finally curate into like this perfect little master folder, if you will, and that becomes the start of the set. And then you take that all of those songs, and you start to figure out how they fit together in the puzzle and the hills and valleys.
At some point you can already visualize yourselves playing that set and how that flow would go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then
that's great.
And then once we get to that point, I send Cody the playlist, and he starts to listen to it, and he kind of gets like a veto as far as this track, I don't want to play on this track, or basically like getting constructive criticism on it. And then once we get to that point, it becomes like we actually start purchasing the songs and putting them in the record box and figuring out how they fit together in the puzzle. So.
And what's your drum kit like these days? Are you playing on the same kit?
So it's a really similar kit. So I've got the drum pad in the center, which is all electronic, like sample pad. I've got a snare, a hi-hat, a splash cymbal, a new little effects. I don't even know it's an effects stack. So it's like two cymbals stacked on top of each other that make like a sound. And then I've got two crash cymbals.
Okay.
So I've got a lot to work with these days. So I'm able to get more technical with my drumming and add a lot more flair into what I'm doing.
And then XDJ RX2 still in the okay.
I love that thing.
Yeah, still
I don't
treating
care
you well.
how heavy it is. Yeah,
I'm never gonna live that down.
Yeah, nah.
I made fun of it in my video by carrying it over my shoulder.
It's a beast.
No, that thing is pretty great. So, approximately what percentage of your time when you're up on stage is playing drums versus doing the DJ thing versus anything else?
I would say a third I'm playing drums, a third of the set. And then, but we've actually done something differently. So on the podcast in the past, I said that I mix every track together, and we threw that out the window as well.
Okay. Meaning what?
So we've created DJ
no beat
edits.
matching? Oh, you created DJ edits.
DJ edits, and that allows me to stay on the drum kit.
Gotcha.
So we've got songs that
so you have like blocks at time
themselves together.
Gotcha.
So we'll have like a 3-minute block that might have 3 tracks that kind of blend themselves together, and I stay on the kit the entire time.
So, like, are you pretty much fully automated as far as the track playing goes, or are you still? I mean, you get on it and do effects and other kinds of mixing with it, or like, are you trying to get away with your involvement at the controller so you can focus more on the live instrumentation? If
I'm got my sticks in my hand and we're playing one of those. What do we call them? McGriddles.
We
right?
call them McGriddles.
Yeah, we call them McGriddles. if we're playing McGriddle and I have my sticks in my hand, I'm at the drum kit and I'm playing the most technical stuff I can possibly play at this current
So you don't
level.
want to be distracted by what's going on at the decks.
What you got? What you got?
I want to stop there for a second because Tony had Gerrad's USB because he was scratching, and there was a particular song that he wanted to scratch over. so he was scrolling through the tracks and he saw McGriddle and he was like, "Is there a DJ McGriddle? Is that their name?" I was like, "Oh no, that's what we call some of our edits." But it's important to note that on those edits or McGriddles, we do a lot of creative editing as well. So it's not just the blending of two tracks together. We're doing a lot of cutting in Ableton to make it more of a cohesive track. Essentially, I don't want to call them a remix because we don't have all of the stems except for the tracks. If we're doing that with any of our original tunes, then we take the stems from our original tracks and turn it into a remix. But
hey, listen, you don't have to explain to me if you're doing less DJing so you can do more instrumentation, you're just going to get respect. I mean, I think that's perfectly fine.
Well, I think if you would have asked us 2 years ago, we need to validate.
Well, if I remember correctly, you even asked us about creating DJ edits that could allow us to be on.
Yeah, I got dirty looks for asking.
So
I'm just sitting back here being quiet.
It's funny how things evolve. And but I really think it makes our performance better. Like it gives more of a show.
You're still DJing through some of it.
I'm still DJing.
Oh, majority of it.
Yeah.
Majority.
Still,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another instrument in your band.
Sure. Yeah.
What about Pull Up? That also came out this year?
Yes, and also a heavy track created around the same time as Get Back. And Gerrad pointed out with a lot of my creation of tracks, I remember you said this to me and I was like, you are 100% right. So I typically I start ideas and doodles typically like 2 or 3 at a time that all have a similar vibe. So like All Systems Go and Earth Stands were written at the same time. Get Back and Pull Up were all written at the same time. And I think that when I'm producing, I definitely don't like to stay in one project for too long. I like to have 2 or 3 projects to bounce back and forth between. And that if I'm releasing some sort of emotion during the same week that I'm writing multiple tracks, then they're all gonna have that a similar flavor, even if they're in different genres. But
sure,
you pointed that out, and I didn't even realize that I did that.
Yeah, I accidentally make trance every time when I sit down and I'm like, I'm gonna make like a deep house song, and then I just like a progressive trance song from the 90s forms itself, and then it's the same thing. Like if I try to make 2 or 3 projects, they won't sound the same, but they'll be thematically similar. All right, so this is Pull Up 2020 Cryztal Grid. That's got to be a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
Just makes you want to headbang or fist pump or something. Yeah, that seems like a crowd pleaser to me. So you guys are like, as far as like the festival circuit goes, you guys are like battle torn now. Like you guys have really done a lot of stuff probably since the last time you were on. So, like, what are some of the bigger shows that you guys have played maybe in the last year or two?
Oh man,
Trying to think of the last time we were on.
well, I think that might have been pre-breakaway.
Is it pre-breakaway?
Pre-breakaway, pre-up and up,
Yeah, I think so.
because it would have been post Numbers Fest.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we had Breakaway Music Festival, and then Up and Up Music Festival, which were both. Those were 2018 though, correct?
Yes.
Were they?
Yeah.
August and November.
August and November.
4th. Yeah.
Yeah, those were fun shows. But Up and Up specifically, that was our largest crowd, 1,500,
Yeah.
I believe,
Yeah.
in the crowd, and that was fun.
That's nice.
That was so much fun.
In the
so
old
much
hometown.
fun. Yeah, in Dayton.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like? Is Colorado new to you? Or-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you like living out there so far?
Colorado's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoying it?
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Haven't had a whole lot of time to explore, and there's so much to explore.
What's your guys' practice like now? Like when you guys were here, you had access to a couple of different venues where you could go in and try things. And like, what do you do now when you're both for live stuff and also like if you're working on in studio? How do you collaborate now that you are together but somewhere else?
Yeah, so we're roommates in Colorado.
That helps.
So we're our productivity is just through the roof now because we're constantly talking about the next steps because we see each other a lot.
You live at work.
Yeah. So we both have our own studios in the house, which is pretty huge. So we can both be producing at the same time if we need to be. We've actually done like what we call producer sprints, where we'll sit down and have like a timer going, like an egg timer, and we'll produce for an hour, and then we'll switch projects back and forth.
Cool idea.
And,
That's great.
Yeah, that's fun.
I love that.
Yeah, and that gets new creative ideas, and maybe Cody starts a track, and I'm like mixing a track or whatnot, and we swap them back and forth, and I throw in some new samples on the track that he's working on, and he listens to the mix down that I'm working on, and we just share ideas, and so that's been huge. What was the other part of the question? I forget already.
Practice.
Practice.
Yeah,
that's what it
yeah.
is. Yeah.
For live
Touch
stuff.
on practice.
Yeah, so we so like Gerrad said, we have 2 studios in the house, which is awesome. My studio is a little more condensed, really only conducive for solo saxophone practicing and producing, but Gerrad has the entire basement where we have our live setup.
Okay. It's my man cave.
It's the man cave. And so we have plenty of practice space down there. Of course, we miss being able to go to therapy. Shout out Nathaniel for letting us go into therapy and practice the sets on stage. That was undoubtedly beneficial to have, especially as we're coming up. I think we're pretty good at visualizing where we're at.
I think we got spoiled.
We did get spoiled. Oh God, thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys have a place out there that you kind of have accessible to you in a similar way?
Yeah,
Not for free.
Yeah, not for for
Gotcha.
sure.
Not for free.
There's a studio pretty close to us, but like a rehearsal studio. But it's not, like you said, it's not free.
Yeah.
So.
Are you guys able to make noise where you're at?
Yeah.
Well, that helps.
Yeah, we're the loudest house on the block, but
Mhm.
actually, no, there's a band next door that
There's a
practice,
band
and we
next
can hear
door.
them. So
Yeah.
it's such a chill neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That helps. My neighbors have been pretty cool. I try not to push it, but between all this stuff and the car hobby, and luckily I have neighbors who have louder cars than I do, so they helped offset me. They look the other way now.
Yeah.
I would like to play this one, Earth Stands, if I could.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really into this one. So this was 2019, and is that Margot?
Margot.
Is that a
She is a female vocalist from
Vocalist.
Chicago.
Chicago vocalist? So this is Earth Stands, Cryztal Grid. Enjoy. I love all that creative synth work and all that gating and all that stuff. That's just some really cool effects. Great stereo field stuff happening.
So in my opinion, sonically, this is our best track.
Yeah, this sounds great.
Yeah. I don't know what we did, but the mix down and just sound selection, sound design, it's one of my favorite tracks for sure. Because it sounds good on one of those little single speaker Bluetooth things. It's like, yeah, get down to that.
You play it on your iPhone by itself, and like,
you're like, pretty proud of that mix.
Those vocals are perfect too. What a great pairing you guys have there.
Shout out Margot.
Yeah. Yeah, the great thing about a track like that too is it's one of those tracks that are really accessible to everyone. So it's like for old electronic heads, you still like it because the synths are so pretty and big and saw wavy and interesting, but then it's got enough pop sensibilities that like you could, I guarantee that my wife would like that song, and she's not really into the music the same way that I am, and I really love songs like that can really communicate that same message through music to different niches or groups of people. I'm really impressed with that track.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you.
We also have Grid'em, and that's going back to the energy.
100%. This was our first rhythm track, so we creatively named it Grid'em.
Grid'em. I like it. So let's give that a listen. We'll change gears here. This is Cryztal Grid's Grid'em.
We are punny.
Very punny. Very punny.
Great reverb.
Shout out Ableton.
Stock reverb. Yeah, a lot of producers aren't going to be happy to hear that, but stock reverb, it does all right. With tweaked settings, of course.
Hit 'em with the Grid'em light.
One of those tracks that gives your subs a workout, man.
Yeah, yes I do.
Man, I love it. You guys have really you've come so far from those first couple of tracks, and like which we've always thought were good, but just to hear progression from that is it's so cool to see you guys growing and getting so good at this and really, like you said, kind of to your point, being able to do it in a way where you're expressing yourselves creatively and like creating the kind of stuff that you want to and kind of designing your lifestyle around this music that you want to create. That's awesome and inspiring.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's it's really, really awesome to hear.
Huge growth.
Is there another track that you guys would want a suggestion that you'd want me to play before we close things out?
Fly Low yet?
Fly Low?
It's our most popular track, I'd say.
That's with Bugle Bot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out Ben, Betty
So,
Boy,
have
out
a-
of Berkeley and Boston.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys.
All the bees.
Do you guys have any plans on bringing another track out with any sax as leads? I did notice last night a lot of your hardcore fans know those leads.
Yeah.
And if you're not putting them out as your own tracks, you're only doing to something live. You can't put a song out, right?
Yeah, because those sax leads act like hooks. Like they're very catchy.
They're
in
very
your head.
catchy, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about throwing away my saxophone. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. No, there's gonna be sax. We're gonna create more tracks with the sax, no doubt.
of course.
Yeah, and just going back to that artistic emotion, like it's coming back.
Do you plan on staying heavy, like you guys have gotten with the sax? Or do
Right,
you
is
plan
this a
on-
phase that you're exploring right now, or is this the future of Cryztal Grid, I guess?
I think it's experimentation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Like we're gonna, like we just released Earth Stands. It's real pretty, future based, melodic. Well, I mean, we're always gonna touch on those. That's like the roots. So but I think a while back ago we just had a conversation and we were like, why don't we just make music that we like? And whatever you're, like Cody touched on earlier, like you just create what's in you in the moment, and then what that is it just comes out, and then boom, there's a heavy track, or I'm feeling melodic and pretty, so you write this. So I feel like it's just experimentation and maybe just kind of like the natural ebb and flow of artistry. Like Picasso's blue period or whatnot, like it's just different phases, different evolutions of what it is that we're creating. So
I like that. Brandon, how you holding up over there, buddy?
I'm enjoying the heck out of all this.
Hey, Brandon Urig.
you want to bring him in? Let's bring him in.
Sure.
Yeah,
You want to talk on mic for a minute?
Oh, yeah, I'll wreck everything. I'm good at ruining things.
We've got the official Cryztal Grid photographer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Brandon Urig entering the conversation. Cryztal Grid's photographer since day numero uno.
Day -10.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm good at pushing a button and staying behind the camera, not being in front of it. So.
So those couple of pretty pictures that you see me repost, maybe from me or Tony repost from the Instagram account, or if you've ever explored the Cryztal Grid, the social media accounts, and seen those amazing photos, you're generally the guy responsible for those.
I do hit a lot of buttons for the guys.
Yeah.
I actually, while you're playing their songs earlier, you're scrolling through and you're like, oh, this song. I'm like, my photo. It just feels really good on the inside. Was it Earth Stands?
Earth Stands cover.
Earth Stands, right? If you go back to the Earth Stands cover, super pretty, Milky Way's hanging out there. You got a dude, the headlamps on, it's just shining straight up at everything. It's me. That's me out there. So for a little bit of time, they got to immortalize me and just something I did and I had a passion for already. And I could not be happier. They're like, oh, it's my favorite song. I'm like, yeah, it's mine too. I wonder why.
Because you're in the cover art, man. And you and Gerrad collaboratively created that cover art.
That's going to be your thing. You're going to try to sneak yourself into every bit of Cryztal Grid artwork without them knowing.
Wholeheartedly. It's like the kid in high school that wanted to get in every photo in the yearbook. I just did it on a different scale and used their marketing and branding to do it for myself.
So how did you come into the picture? Who knew who first, and how did that work out?
Well, I'll tell from my perspective.
Yeah.
I first started off doing long exposure for the Milky Way things, and then when I got back to Ohio, there wasn't a lot of starlight around for me to use. So I started doing things like light painting and spinning steel wool and getting out and just kind of immersing myself in the Dayton culture. And then Chris, I believe his name was, ran Concord Gym City, and they would have a mini abandoned building parties where they'd have different kind of artists come out, and I was there one night to spin some steel wool. And I hear this saxophone just blasting out in this building. I'm like, ooh, what's going on? Some DJs
Is
are playing
that
in the
an
background.
angel?
I walk around the corner and I'm still not like I don't like to go up and get in your business. So like as a straight up creep, like my head goes around a corner, my camera comes out right. I start like just snapping photos of this dude like wailing away, and it's Cody. So I make a couple of copies and I send it out, and they got a hold of me a couple months later. Like, we really liked your work. We appreciate what you do. We look back at some of the things that you've posted before, and you do a lot of low light photography, and you seem to be really good. We want some social media shoots.
That's the key, the low light photography.
Yeah.
So you came into the picture because of your photography. It wasn't like, I've got this dude that shoots photos.
I showed up creeping out of warehouse one day. Like, that's
awesome.
all.
No, that's really perfect because I mean you're dealing with bright lights in otherwise low conditions, and that's a particular talent that you need for shooting things in nightclubs or raves or whatever it is.
And these guys are such a challenge because they are both like so all over the map. Like Gerrad is slamming sticks around, Cody's like waving a saxophone. They're at two different depths and askewed from each other. So you're like, how do I get the crowd and the sign that says Cryztal Grid and like the sticks? Like, I don't want it to be like dead stopped. I want to show a little movement.
Yeah.
So it's a whole lot of chaos going on at the same time. And they only have like an hour and some set, but it still feels like 4.5 hours and I'm pushing a button because I'm everywhere trying to get everything I can for them. And
well, you really seem to figure it out. I mean, is it really like a numbers game? Like, do you shoot all the photos, or have you just gotten really good at like framing it in your mind, like this is the one? You know what I mean?
Well,
or do you just shoot all the things and then throw out the shit and leave the?
I do have a tremendous amount of photos that I throw away, but it is because I'll get to a certain spot and I've already seen the way the lighting setup has gone. So for like Moss playing this last show, like if he's like tracking certain things or having certain things pop, I'll kind of get into a spot where I know I want to have them. Like Jared's getting ready to get up on drums. And so I'm like, okay, if I tuck over in this corner, I know these lights are going to hit at this certain time. So as long as I have my general settings down, and I shoot all manual, so like trying to track everything back and forth as different things pop is really tough. But I might shoot like a burst of like maybe 20 because I know I got the 3 shots I really need to get out of that block. If I only do one at a time, I know I'm probably going to miss that one shot because most of the time I don't shoot flash photography for you guys. Because like you bump up that flash and your settings have to be so high that you're losing a lot of the ambiance of all the external lights, and that's what makes it great. Like those beams you see shooting in everywhere, like that's what you want. I don't want to see just like Cody and Gerrad up there with like a sax, like, like that's not what makes not what makes that feel come across the screen. And the way they make music make me feel, I want to translate that through the photography I give to them. So that very first show that we played, was it Snowden you had me play? Or shoot for you guys?
That would have been Snowden, yeah.
Yeah. And I got a little spoiled there because...
This photo here?
Yeah.
Backdrop.
I like that photo, yeah.
Like, I had to do so much guesswork on that very first attempt, but by the end of it, I really got a grasp of it. Then I started getting better at my editing process past that to get maybe rid of any kind of little grain that I saw or whatever the case is. And
David, can you pull up our Instagram account?
Yep.
And you get to see some of the...
So for those of you who are listening on...
I don't know why you did that, but that's not my photo.
Sorry.
It's a really rude joke, Jerry. Totally cool, bro.
Those of you listening to the audio version can go to Instagram.com/Cryztal Grid, and that's CryztalGrid. Or just, open Instagram, go to Cryztal Grid, and you can see all these amazing photos. This is Brandon's work.
Boom.
Boom. Get that sax in your face.
Yeah, that's just great. Let's get saxy. Yeah, get saxy.
And while you're there, make sure to follow @BrandonU.
Yes. Yes, and we'll put all the links in the description for sure. So we got some Colorado stuff happening here. So look at this. That looks like fun. Where's this?
This was Up and Up. Yeah, Up and Up.
That's Up and Up. Wow, let's
video.
Bet you're gonna be in it.
Is that when they're? Yeah. Well, that could have been it. Yeah, that show is really good.
That's awesome.
Like, they brought it to 11. There was so much positive feedback for them.
Look at those girls going nuts up front. That's awesome. Dude nodding his head.
There's Brandon.
Yep.
There he is. There he is.
Arms raised straight in the air like always. Get that screen face down.
Yeah, well, and I think it's important to note, so when Brandon first met us at that warehouse party, that was before we were even Cryztal Grid. It was. Yeah, we were performing as our previous aliases.
That's my German accent. Not that one, but a little dating action for the guys. That's fun.
And so Brandon has been shooting us since before Cryztal Grid.
Yeah,
but
that
before
shot right there is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's good. Gerrad changed the color of the smoke, though. I had one color smoke grenade. He's like, I can fix that. I was like, yeah, let's do it then. Let's.
You're like, don't worry, I got this.
Yeah, well, and we're so appreciative to have him, Andrew White, on board for continuously capturing and creating absolutely phenomenal content. 95% of our online image and brand and content is Brandon and Andrew, 100%.
Yeah.
Along with Jared's design work with the logos and all that.
Of
too.
course.
Yeah.
You push different buttons. Calm down.
Yeah.
You're fine doing your other thing.
And I just want to express how much fun it is to have both Brandon and Andrew on stage rocking with us. So last night, it was our first performance in 9 months. First time being on stage for 9 months. And there is, at one point, maybe halfway through the set, I turn around and Brandon is there, camera in hand, phone in the other, shooting video on his phone, camera here. And I just ran up and just gave him a huge hug. I didn't have my saxophone at the time. He ends up dropping his phone. I just got excited, and I was just happy to have him on stage, because it's not only is it Gerrad and I performing, but having those guys on stage it adds to it, and it's a ton of fun.
So are you trying to do batch operations here, like now that everybody's here in one place, you shoot some stuff while you're here? And
definitely.
Are you still involved with the project from photography side?
They tried to get me out to Colorado when they got out there, but I got into a little accident. I'd shattered my clavicle and fractured some ribs and punctured my lung. So right around the time they needed me to get out there and help them out, I couldn't fly or do anything. Yeah. So I got the plate put in, screws put in. I can high five people again. So I'm back in action doing things. And
very good.
We had the show last night. We shot a little bit, and we got together today and did some social media shoots. That way they have a little bit more content. We didn't make it super Dayton heavy. That way it was still available to be posted either side, just something good for them to have. And they have a little bit of a costume change up, so not a big thing, but just little things. So you have to look for that photo coming out to let you know what they now look like on stage. And it's nice just to be able back in the mix with it. It was really rough to see them do their own thing far away, and you always cheer for your guys. You know what I mean? You always cheer for them. At the same time, your heart cries on the inside because you're super sad and I have nothing left in my life. It's totally cool.
Brandon, you've been awesome, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you
Thanks
guys
so much for
on.
joining us.
Yeah,
We're going to listen to Fly Low.
I'm just kidding.
Psych me out again.
This is Fly Low featuring Buglebot. guys' sound has gotten so big. I know the song's a couple years old now, but it's just the mix down and the mastering and everything is just, it's so very on point, and it's so important for this kind of music where you're mixing analog instruments with various synths and digital drums, and to get that all right is no small feat, I think.
Lots of YouTube.
All
Hey.
the YouTube.
It gets the job done, that's for sure.
And Steve Gilson.
Steve Gilson.
Ah,
shout
yes.
out.
Shout out Silent Gloves. It's been way too long since he's been on the show.
We have to wait till UD basketball season is over.
That's right.
Go yours!
Yeah, when I heard this song, when I heard the final version, the mastered version, I didn't even know Steve was mastering at that time, and I said, that's clean. That sounds like a Steve mastering. And then I found out afterwards he did.
It was a Steve master.
Yeah, his stuff is super clean, man.
And Steve's actually been evolving with our sound.
Yeah.
So like,
I remember when he first heard it, he was kind of reluctant because he's not familiar. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So he obviously some of our older tracks are a little more future based, a little more melodic, a little more pretty, and they're not as loud, right? Because they're not trying to compete with crazy dubstep, loudness wars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we started creating those tracks, and so Steve had to evolve with, like, his mastering had to evolve with the genre of music that we started to create. So we started to create these like hybrid trap, like dark trap bangers essentially, and he started to experiment with different mastering processes.
Nice.
And to basically get our tracks louder. To allow them to compete a little better with like the Peekaboos and some of these other larger artists. So it's cool to see, like, not only are we growing, but the people that we're working with are growing as well.
Yeah.
So it's
rising tide.
Cool. Yeah, exactly.
Nice, yeah.
Fellas, anything else you want to share? Any more stories? Anything else you want to plug? Or any upcoming projects you want to tease? Anything like that before we wrap it up and turn the cameras off?
Well, if it gets out quick enough, tomorrow night, Saturday, show in Cincinnati, Arm & Hammer.
Yeah.
We'll miss it barely, unfortunately.
Well, build yourself a time machine. Get yourself to Cincinnati and see us tomorrow.
I did send Mo Dingo to the Dayton show yesterday on a mission to gather some footage.
He got
as
some
well.
footage.
So
We had fun with Mo.
Okay,
We
cool.
had some
Cool.
fun with Mo.
Hopefully we'll have at least a little something to post for the audience.
There should be a little something.
Awesome. Where can people find you as far as website, merch, social media, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, you can find us at Cryztal Grid on all social media platforms. Of course, you can visit crystalgrid.com/shop.
Spell it for him again.
CRYZTALGRID. I think the last time I was on the show, I butchered that spelling, so I'm glad
got
I
it down
nailed
now.
it this time.
Got it. Check.
And we do have some brand new merch. We have hoodies, beanies. We have flat bill hats. We have some
Just
brand new
released this guy.
long sleeve tees.
Great merch. It's
Two
great
designs.
merch. Check it
Yeah.
out. Awesome.
Designed
Fellas,
by yours truly.
thank you so much for hanging out.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank
Oh,
you.
whoop. I about cut you off there.
Yeah.
I do want to say how proud I am of these guys,
Ah.
man. You guys have come up a lot.
Nah, thanks, Tony.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man.
And
I was
you know-
highly impressed on Wednesday night. Yeah, when you guys practiced at the house. I mean, I couldn't say it enough to him, to Chris, my next, I'm just like, man, I'm blown away.
Yeah, he came knocking the doors down, saying it today. Like, you got to hear how good these guys are doing. I mean, he didn't waste any time.
Man. Well, we couldn't do without you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're a team.
I think
100%.
we'll send out with On Fire, if that's cool.
Perfect.
The OG.
Yep.
Perfect.
And with that, This has been the Passionate DJ Podcast. Thank you so much, and keep on spinning.
Yeah.
Not afraid to die, not afraid to live, not afraid to open up and give. I'm not afraid of the future, go on, bring it on. Darling, we will.